A family had just moved into their new home when they encountered a strange occurrence. The son placed a marble on the floor, and it quickly rolled towards the balcony on one side. Jack witnessed this and found it unbelievable. Could it be that the house was tilted? Curious, he picked up a marble and placed it on the floor. This time, the marble didn't roll at all. His wife, who was standing nearby, thought Jack was overthinking it. After all, how could a luxurious residence they had just bought for over $6 million be a hazardous building? However, in the middle of the night, a heavy downpour suddenly started. The building was slowly sinking into the ground, yet none of the residents inside noticed. The next morning, as Jack went to work, he inadvertently discovered a long crack on the ground. He realized that there must be a problem with the foundation of the neighborhood. That evening, he gathered some of the building's residents and asked if their windows were unusually tight. If they were tight and the floors were slanting, it would be sufficient to indicate that the entire building was gradually sinking into the ground. A female neighbor told Jack not to spread rumors. This building was a famous and popular neighborhood in the country, and she still wanted to make money from the property's appreciation. Fast forward to 3 days later, Jack had just woken up when he was disturbed by a violent shaking sound. He opened the window and saw that the cracks that had appeared a few days ago were widening at a visible speed. Residents outside were fleeing in the direction away from the building. Before Jack could react to what was happening, his home's ceiling completely collapsed. The next second, the entire building rapidly plummeted into the ground. In just a few dozen seconds, the entire building had fallen into a deep pit 5,000 meters deep. The building eventually got stuck in a tunnel and stopped falling. Fortunately, Jack was still alive in his house. At this time, Jack's wife returned from grocery shopping and saw their home vanish into thin air. She instantly froze in shock. She couldn't imagine that the building they had just bought had fallen into the ground. She thought her son should be with her husband, but when Jack opened the door to his son's room, he found it empty. Just as Jack was at a loss, a small car suddenly fell from the sky and barged straight into his living room. It wasn't until the car stopped that Jack realized the unfortunate soul inside was his colleague. Jack quickly rushed forward to save him. However, due to his excessive force, he directly pulled off the car's handle. Seeing the car sliding backward, the colleague frantically tugged at the door handle to escape. Just as the car was about to fall, the building sank again, conveniently wedging the car on the edge of the pit. The colleague narrowly escaped a fatal fate. Jack then quickly pulled his colleague out. To survive, they swiftly went to look for other survivors. The group then went to the rooftop to call for help. But when they reached the rooftop, they were stunned because at this depth, it was impossible for any signal to exist. To get rescued, the group desperately shouted towards the opening for help. However, tragically, despite shouting their throats raw, they never received a single response. Meanwhile, the rescue team outside had also arrived at the scene. They quickly launched the first wave of rescue efforts and arranged for a few brave staff members to go down and rescue. But just a short while after they went down, rocks from above the opening began to fall into the hole. Left with no choice, they had to temporarily climb out and switch to using drones for exploration. Unfortunately, the depth of this pit far exceeded their imagination. The drone hadn't even flown halfway down the cave's depth when it completely lost signal. This incredibly thrilling movie is called Sinkhole, and I highly recommend it with a 5-star rating.